Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. Together with these great partners, we are able to bring you quality information to help you reach your whitetail habitat goals quicker but more proficiently. Northwoods Whitetails, Plot Doctor, Harper Growing Solutions, Scent Thief, Real Wood Productions, Ace Hardware of Harrodsburg, Kentucky. So what is the perfect stand location? It's a stand location that you can hunt multiple times if needed, right? It's a stand location that we can get in and out of undetected multiple times. The goal would be for me as a early season tip, right, would be to be able to scout from afar and not go into that stand location if it's in a situation where you can scout from a distance, like we're doing from the house here with a spotting scope, good Vortex optics, and scout from afar and then go in and make that early season attack, because you're able to hunt closer to those food sources. So you're able to hunt deer coming out of a CRP area going to a food source, something that you can still get away from. But going back to the days of guiding, I think this kind of relates to that, guys. Is one of the things I've always told everybody is if I had 7 days to hunt or 5 days to hunt, I would take half of those and scout from afar if I had to, if the area or that opportunity was available to do so. Scout from afar, make a good solid plan of attack, and then go into that area and hang a stand on something that you know that you can get into without being interruptive. Early season, like I've always said, guys, is it's definitely that mentality of having that mentality of making that marathon approach. Right now there's so much good ahead. Like we said in past videos, you just don't want to take you don't want to take high risk hunts and throw it out right now and kind of play all your cards this early. If you start that chain of pressure, no matter where you're at in the country, it's just really hard to stop that. You have to be in a very low pressure area where you can get away with multiple mistakes time after time. With that being said, I think that's a huge piece of a devastation of an early season hunt, is hanging, glassing from afar, which, like I said, highly recommended, right? Making your plan of attack, but hanging on the edge of these fields. If you get it right, it can be a powerful sit, right? It could happen the first or second hunt. Most folks don't take that extra day of scouting from afar, go in. When they do decide to go in and hang on that, they're not looking for opportunities where they can still get out. So I'm always asked this because it's not a hidden secret here on the channel, right? I'm not a promoter. I do not promote sitting on your food sources. I'm always asked, if you don't have any opportunity or any other way to hunt the property, it's a leash property, and I have to hunt on the edge of the field. There's no woods that go with it. I'm in certain parts of Michigan are like that. A lot of the western Midwest is like that. There are them properties around the country that you just don't have another option to hunt. You have or any other option to hunt other than on a food source. So how would I do that? I'm often asked that question. How do you hunt a food source if you have to hunt that? So I think that's where, so this is the approach that I would take. I would try any way possible to get into a spot like I'm doing now, glass it from afar. If that's not an option and you can't take some of the hurdles out to do that, you have to use caution. So the next step would be, if I'm going to do that and I'm going to play that card on the edge of a food source and it's an early season hunt, maybe it's even a semi-guided hunt, there's a lot of that still goes around the country. semi-guided deal where you can't manipulate that habitat, right? You have 5 days to get it done, 7 days to get it done. How do you do that? Well, I'm looking at the opportunity of PM sits, not hunting just because you're paying for that, but I'm not hunting them AM sits unless something's making drastic mistakes, right? So that's the first hurdle. The second hurdle is, if you're going to hunt the edge of those food sources, make sure that one of the options I'm looking at is having somebody pick me up right out of the stand. So there are some folks that'll tell you the way to do that early season is to get, and during the entire season, right? If you are a food source hunter, to get dropped off at the stand and to get picked up at the stand. I try to, now this goes, you have to look further into it. Is there doe bedding on your, can you get in if you walked in? I would rather walk into a food source if I was going to hunt on the edge of that and not sound the alarm that I'm there. I would sneak into that because those deer aren't out in those fields. Get in the stand just as quiet as I possibly can, and then I would take the next step. I would have, hopefully it happens, right? Because every time that it doesn't happen, you're educating, right? You are then the educator. But I would have the PM, when that PM hunt is done, you do not get out of that stand unless that, ATV, side by side, truck, whatever that is, comes to the base of the tree and picks you up. That's a kind of more of a Western approach. We've done that in the past, guiding and living out west, Wyoming, Colorado, and parts of the Midwest as well, right? But you can do that anywhere in the country. But unlike what you see on the outdoor channel and everybody hunting over these big, beautiful food plots, guys, I get it. There's nothing more beautiful in this world than taking a picture of a big, beautiful buck on a big, beautiful food plot, right? But you have to look into that as well. What video are you watching? How many acres are they hunting, right? How many of those locations, how many of those food sources can they do that? Do they have enough that they can bump not only from farm to farm, but can they do that over X amount of acres scattered over X amount of miles? And if that's the case, you can do that, right? You have a better chance of making, not creating that pressure by doing that. The problem with that, guys, is most of the average Joes, the you and I's around the country, don't have that option. We don't have the acreage. We don't have the volume of acres to make the mistakes the acreage takes to cover that, right? So you always read into that. So it's easy to say, don't hunt your food plots, don't hunt your food sources, don't do this, don't do that, right? But what if you have to? And this video is trying to touch on that, just to weed some things out. If you have to go the extra mile to be smart. So the first thing that you do, guys, is you do not overhunt it. If you have to hunt it, there's one property that jumps in my mind. I've actually got he's a family member, and he's got a leased property in Illinois. We set that property up to hunt, but we were really creative on the food plot strategy and the field approach, and with some screening and some switchgrass, and lowered the number of acreage and accessing through the creek shelf and stuff like that to get him in and out of that location. And we had to bring some of that movement to him. So that's where that whole, what's a separate video that we have coming here, guys, but that food plot architecture, part of it comes in. I'm not saying that it can't be done and it should never happen, but it happens way more than it should. So always educate yourself on how are you getting in, how are you getting out, what are you damaging long term. If you do it in the morning, are you screwing up a PM, a better chance to hunt that situation in the PM? If you're going to get busted even getting out in the PM, are you screwing up stuff that's coming down the chain yet to come when the better weather and the pre-rut and the rut happens? Most of the cases is that answer is yes. So I'm all about early season hunting. I love early season hunting. I killed my buck here in Kentucky last year, September 25th. I've always been an early season hunter because of the way I set properties up. I have bucks here in the summer, and in my buck stay. Now they will disperse a little bit, but they still use the property. They don't leave like the common property that has summer bucks, and they don't leave completely. So my strategy is in the early season is to go into a location where I know I can hunt multiple times if I have to, and pick away at them from the outside. The best early season spot is something, especially right now, we're needing rain. And if you have like I said, a situation this time of the year where you can hunt a PM water source, something that's maybe set up depending on where you're at in the region, them west or southwest winds. Them PM water hole stands right now are on fire. My water hole stands are dynamite right now, right? So that's where I killed my buck last year here in Kentucky, and we got a couple on the hit list this year. And as soon as they shake that velvet, just because I'm not looking to shoot a velvet buck right now, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm looking to shake that velvet. And if they're doing what they're doing right now, it's hopefully going to be another early season for me, which is fine because I got a lot of good family members and guests coming into camp this year, so I'm perfectly fine with that. Oh, just let this one sink in, guys. This next series of videos that are coming down the road here are not to criticize food plot hunters at all. I think that's the interpretation that comes from this when I tell you don't hunt your food sources. What we're going to dive deep into, it happens. There are some situations where you have to. There's some situations where folks just don't believe in the system of not hunting food sources. So there are multiple ways to cheat that system. Especially right now, a lot of these early season states, Kentucky included. If you're hunting right now, you're probably hunting over a feeder or a corn pile, searching for that velvet buck on the edge of a field. So it can be a huge devastation. So just look into your situation, make sure it's a bulletproof plan. Don't be sitting over top of those feeders. Make sure you can get out of there and let that property cook and take the advantage when it's handed to you. You got to be able to, the biggest closure here, the last tip I can give you guys is you have to be ready, just like right now. I'm just waiting for these bucks to shed velvet. I'm waiting for the perfect wind for that stand, and I'm going to go in. Last year, set number 3, not 3 days, but 3 evening hunts, the third sit. And I seen my buck that I ended up harvesting, my target buck. I seen him 2 out of the 3 sits, and killed him on the third sit. It's a patience thing. It's you have to have all of that in your favor. But if it's burnt out before that high potential favor is given to you, when the green light is there and it all makes sense, there's a high likelihood that 2 weeks in during that lull that's forced. That opportunity is not going to be there for you, and then it's a struggle. And that's when my phone starts ringing out the wall from potential clients and clients around the country saying, okay, what do I need to do different? And these are the steps that I highly recommend that we're doing different, right? So if you do have to do that, just take some of these steps into consideration. We're going to get back to watching. I've got about a little bit less than half of my bucks are shedded out here. Mature bucks are still holding velvet, and we're going to do some field surveying from afar tonight, and then hopefully be in a stand here probably within a week, guys, and we got the Kentucky season kicked off here. So thanks, guys. Good luck if you are out there battling the heat and the elements. Good luck if your season is open, and stay tuned for some good tips and early season strategies as we move forward here. Thanks, guys.